Hi, this is Scott Rogers with Funkhauser Real Estate Group. I'm a realtor here in the Harrisonburg area, and today we'll be reviewing the overall residential real estate market in 2016. It's now mid-January, so we have a full year's worth of data to look at, and a lot of exciting things happened last year as far as the pace of home sales in this area and the price of those home sales. We saw a 16% increase 16.25% increase in the pace of home sales between 2015 and 2016. So significantly more buyers bought in 2016 than we saw in 2015. And we'll put that in a larger context in a bit. Prices also went up over the past year. We've seen a 4% increase in the median sales price in this area, which has now risen to $192,500. So we're seeing more buyers buying, and we're seeing the prices that they are paying for the homes that they are purchasing is also increasing. Both of those are signs of an overall healthy market. Typically, we see between a 2 and 3% increase in median sales price from year to year when averaged over a long stretch of time. And so this 4% increase in some ways is slightly above average, and in other ways may be making up for some of the low years of home sales prices that we've seen in some recent years. If we delve a little bit further into the most recent findings, we will discover that the 1,309 home sales that we saw in 2016 was a welcome relief after 3 years in a row between 1,000 and 1,100. Last year, in 2015, we saw 1,122 home sales. And so we've been hovering in that area for several years, and then all of a sudden we saw a significant increase in 2016, which was exciting to see, I think exciting for a lot of sellers to see. Single-family homes particularly did quite well. There were 978 single-family home sales in Harrisonburg and Rockingham County. This is striking because there have only been 2 years in the past 16 years when we've seen more home sales in a single year. So back in 2004 and 2005, there were over 1,000 single-family home sales, but there has been no other year in the past 16 years when we have seen as many single-family home sales as we saw in 2016. So a big recovery, a 20% increase in the number of home sales, single-family home sales in 2016, and that was accompanied by a 7% increase in the median sales price, again, of single-family homes. And that does not include townhomes, duplexes, and condos. The median sales price of a single-family home in this area is now $214,000, which is in comparison to $192,000 for all residential properties that sold in this area last year. If we look at the townhouse market, we've seen growth in the number of properties that are selling. This is townhouses, duplexes, and condos. So there was a 9% increase in the number of these properties that sold, but there actually was not an increase in the median sales price of these properties. The median sales price actually declined by 1% to $149,500. So that type of property, while we're seeing more buyers buying them, we are not seeing an increase in those prices and have not over the past 2 years. Some of that may be the product mix, so to speak, so which particular properties happen to be selling in a year, but I think it's also notable to say that property type is not increasing value-wise right now. Several other metrics that I'd like to review here when we look at our overall housing market. New construction single-family homes. The way that I measure this is simply by looking in the multiple listing service, the MLS, to see how many new home sales are recorded in the MLS. So this is certainly not all encompassing as far as all of the new single-family homes that are built in this area, but this is one metric of what's happening with new construction in this area. And after the last 6 years of having between 38 and 54 home sales. So again, we were hovering between 38 and 54. Last year, in 2016, that jumped up to 82 single-family homes. So we are seeing single-family home builders starting to build more homes and more of those homes starting to sell, and we'll get into why that's happening when we get to inventory numbers. Contracts, when we look at contracts for 2016, we're ultimately going to see somewhat of a reflection of sales. Most sales turn into contracts. And so the over 1,300 contracts that we saw during 2016, which was much higher than the 1,172 contracts the previous year, that increase in contracts shouldn't be surprising because all of those are turning into that increase in sales that we saw when we were looking at overall sales figures. Inventory is a very interesting story right now. There are currently 413 homes for sale in this area. and that's compared to 560 homes 1 year ago. That's all homes, all residential properties in Harrisonburg and Rockingham County. So again, a buyer a year ago, if they were willing to live anywhere and if they were willing to buy at any price, would have had the ability to choose from 560 properties, and today they would only have 413 properties. So that's a significant decline. That's a 26% drop in the number of homes that are available for sale. So sales are up, inventory is down. You're probably starting to get the conclusion here, which is that it is a favorable time for sellers in this area because they do not have as much competition as they have had over the past year with other sellers, and the buyers that might be buying their properties have even more competition because there are more buyers in the market. If we let's look at home sales by price range. So when we break it down to under 200,000, 2 to 300,000, 3 to 400, and 400 and up, we see some different trends in the number of homes that are selling. All of those are seeing increases in the number of homes that are selling. So a 11%, 13, and 14% increase in 3 of those 4 price ranges. The one price range that is behaving differently over the past year is the $300,000 to $400,000 price range. We've seen a 72% increase in the pace of home sales in the $300,000 to $400,000 price range, and that stands in stark contrast to all of the other price ranges. So definitely seeing a lot more activity popping in that price range over the past year. Inventory levels, however, the biggest drop in inventory levels, so we know inventory levels are going down overall, but the biggest decline in a single price range is the under $200,000 market. So we've seen a 38% decline. So if you were trying to buy a home under $200,000 1 year ago, you would have had 283 options. Today, you'll have 176. So that's over 100 fewer homes available for you to consider. And again, that's looking everywhere in Harrisonburg and Rockingham County and at all property types. So most buyers in that price range are actually looking at a significantly smaller pool of potential properties to be purchasing. Looking a little bit further, lot sales, we're getting relatively slow this year. We've seen between 70 and 85 lot sales under an acre over the past 3 or 4 years, and we actually only saw 64 lot sales this year. So that was definitely slower than we might have expected. Given the fact that sales are increasing and inventory is down, some thought that we would see more single-family home lots selling so that builders or end users could be purchasing those lots and then building a home on it. Another metric that I always follow is foreclosures. A sign of a healthy market would be to have a low or declining number of foreclosures in this area. We are seeing that. So while we saw a significantly increased number of home sales, we saw a slight decline in the number of foreclosures. So there were 136 recorded foreclosures in 2016, down ever so slightly from 139. But down significantly from the 270, 252, 222 that we saw in some recent years after the housing boom and bust. So encouraging to see that foreclosure rate dropping in this area. The only other stories I'll mention as we take a look here at the overall housing market in 2016 in Harrisonburg, I guess I'll just mention one other thing, which is certainly mortgage interest rates. Mortgage interest rates have started to go up. We experienced during nearly all of 2016, we saw interest rates below 4%. Since November 2016, we've started to see those interest rates increase. At the end of the year, the average mortgage interest rate for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage was 4.3%. And so definitely money is a little bit more expensive. Housing payments are going to be a little bit higher. And perhaps that has created some of the urgency and some of the increased buyer activity. Looking forward towards 2017, what will we see? I think in large part we should expect to see a similar amount of home sales. I don't think we'll see a decline in the number of home sales as compared to 2016, even though 2016 was a very strong year of home sales. So I think we'll see a similar number and perhaps a slight increase from that. I don't think we're going to see another double-digit increase in the number of home buyers that are buying in this area. Prices I would expect to also increase modestly over the next year, perhaps more in line with the 2 to 3% that is more typical for this area. So we will likely see more home sales at slightly higher prices. What does that mean for a seller or for a buyer? For a home seller, in a lot of ways, you are in a good position. There are fewer homes for purchasers to buy. There are more buyers trying to purchase a home. So that puts you, the seller, more in control of what price you might be able to obtain for your home, how quickly it will sell, much more so than you would have been a year ago or 2 years ago. So sellers still need to understand the market. They need to prepare their home well. It needs to be marketed thoroughly and professionally, but certainly the market is more in your favor now from a market and numbers perspective than it has been in any recent year. Buyers need to be well versed in the market to well understand market value and to understand when a unique or excellent opportunity for what they are looking for comes up. Buyers in 2017 will likely have to move quickly on properties that come on the market that match what they're looking for and are priced well and prepared well, to move quickly to seize that opportunity before another buyer comes along and purchases that home. So buyers should be prepared with market knowledge, with an understanding of how the home buying process works, with a pre-approval letter from having already talked to a lender. So buyers need to be more prepared than ever if they are trying to purchase in 2017. There's a lot more that we could get into. All of the market data that I'm referencing is available at harrisonburghousingmarket.com, so feel free to take a look there. I also write a real estate blog at harrisonburghousingtoday.com, so you could take a look at that and have some daily commentary as to things happening in our local real estate market. And if you'd like to understand the home buying process more or the home selling process more, I've also created some online resources for you. So you can go to buyingahomeInHarrisonburg.com or sellingahomeInHarrisonburg.com. Hope this information is helpful. Always feel free to call or email me if you have questions about the market or your real estate situation, or if I can be of help to you in buying a piece of property in Harrisonburg or selling real estate in Harrisonburg. Again, Scott Rogers with Funkhauser Real Estate Group. You'll find all of this information and more at harrisonburghousingmarket.com. Thanks, and have a great January. We'll see you in about a month.